we have been brought closer because of the circumstances as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You are, uniquely bonded because of what we've been through.
Yeah.
But, even Harry and I, over the years, have not talked enough about.
The British royal family is no stranger to secrets, but this revelation from Prince William might just be the most shocking one yet. Imagine growing up under the scrutiny of the world, only to find out that a key part of your family's history was deliberately hidden from view. That's right, Prince William has finally broken his silence about a long-hidden truth. At the heart of it all was a hidden royal sister, Laura Lopes, a name the palace never wanted the world to know. Why was she hidden? What role does she play in the royal family's most dramatic moments? And could this change everything we thought we knew about the monarchy? Stick around as we uncover the truth behind this jaw-dropping revelation. Before we jump into the unbelievable story of William's secret sister, we must first understand royal history and the individuals who stroked the flames of controversy. The turbulent history of the British royal family. Did you know that the British royal family wasn't always known as the House of Windsor? In fact, their name originally carried a much more Germanic ring to it, Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. But in 1917, during the peak of anti-German sentiment triggered by World War I, they made a bold decision to rebrand. To better align with the patriotic spirit of Britain and distance themselves from their German heritage, the family adopted the name Windsor. This wasn't just a name change, it was a strategic move that marked a significant turning point for the monarchy. Fast forward to today, and the House of Windsor is led by King Charles III, the great-grandson of King George V, the very first monarch of this renamed dynasty. But did you know King George V wasn't supposed to become king at all? Born as one of Queen Victoria's 20 grandchildren, he started out as third in line to the throne. That all changed in 1892 when his elder brother, Prince Albert Victor, passed away unexpectedly. Suddenly, George found himself in the spotlight as the heir presumptive. King George V ascended to the throne in 1910 and guided Britain through one of its most challenging periods, World War I. His reign lasted until his death in 1936, and his legacy set the foundation for the modern royal family. Here's a fascinating twist. King George V married Queen Mary, but she was initially engaged to his late brother, Prince Albert Victor. When Albert died, Queen Mary's engagement shifted to George, and their union gave the royal family 6 children, 2 of whom would eventually wear the crown. Their eldest son, Edward, became King Edward VIII in 1936. However, his reign became one of the shortest and most controversial in British history. Why? Edward wanted to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, which led to a constitutional crisis. Back then, the Church of England strictly opposed the remarriage of divorced individuals with living ex-spouses. Edward was faced with an impossible choice: his crown or his love. After less than a year on the throne, Edward made a stunning decision. He abdicated in December of 1936. This act of devotion and defiance shocked the world. He married Wallis Simpson the following year and was granted the title Duke of Windsor, forever stepping away from the duties of a reigning monarch. Edward's abdication cleared the path for his younger brother Albert, who took the name King George VI. Albert had never expected to rule, but he stepped up during turbulent times. He married Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, later known as the Queen Mother, and they had 2 daughters, Princess Margaret and Princess Elizabeth. King George VI's reign was a time of transformation for the British Empire. Under his rule, the empire dissolved into what is now the Commonwealth of Nations. He became the first head of this newly formed group of independent states, and his reign marked the end of Britain's colonial era, with India becoming independent. Sadly, King George VI passed away in 1952 at just 56 years old, leaving the throne to his eldest daughter, Elizabeth. Little did the world know, her reign would become the longest in British history. The reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Imagine leading a nation for 7 decades. Sounds incredible, right? Well, Queen Elizabeth II, born in 1926, took the throne in 1952 after the sudden death of her father, King George VI. Her reign, lasting an astonishing 70 years, made her the longest-serving British monarch ever. And she didn't just sit back. She handled the challenges of a modern monarchy with poise and determination. In 1947, she tied the knot with Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and together they built a life that revolved around duty and family. They raised 4 children, Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward, while staying side by side for over 70 years. Their marriage wasn't just about love, it was a true partnership in public service. During her reign, Queen Elizabeth witnessed massive changes, both in Britain and across the globe. She guided the transition from the British Empire to the Commonwealth of Nations, proving that the monarchy could adapt to a modern world while holding on to its cherished traditions. When Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022, it felt like the closing of a monumental chapter in history. Her unwavering sense of duty and service left a legacy that continues to inspire millions around the globe. Now, with a new era unfolding, the spotlight shifts to King Charles III. The rise of King Charles III. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, her son Charles stepped into his new role as King Charles III. His ascension marked a turning point in British history. Fun fact, he wasn't just the longest-serving heir-in-waiting, but also the first to graduate with a university degree. King Charles studied at top schools, including Cambridge University, and served in both the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy. These experiences shaped his sense of responsibility and prepared him for leadership. But let's be honest, Charles's reign hasn't been smooth sailing. One of the biggest shadows over his life has been his involvement in a love triangle that shook the royal family and redefined their legacy. Princess Diana, the priceless jewel. Princess Diana, born in July 1961 into a wealthy family, experienced a childhood marked by both privilege and personal sorrow. Growing up at Park House, an estate rented from Queen Elizabeth II, she affectionately referred to the Queen as Aunt Lilibet. From a young age, Diana displayed a maternal instinct, nurturing a variety of pets including gerbils, hamsters, a pony, and her prized white guinea pig named Peanuts, which won accolades at local pet fairs. However, her idyllic childhood was shattered in 1967 when her parents divorced after a tumultuous marriage. The divorce led to a custody battle that uprooted Diana and her siblings, forcing them to attend various boarding schools across Europe. These formative years were challenging, characterized by frequent relocations and the emotional strain of her parents' separation. At the age of 16, Diana returned to England and began working for an American couple, an experience that humbled her and cultivated her relatable nature, an attribute that would later endear her to the public. Her life changed forever when she met Prince Charles, then dating her older sister Sarah Spencer. Despite their age difference, Diana's vivacity and charm captivated Charles. Their initial encounter at a dinner where Diana made a memorable impression led to a dance, sparking Charles's interest. Their paths diverged for a time until November 1978, when Diana attended a dance at Buckingham Palace, reigniting their connection. It wasn't until 1980, during a country weekend, that their personal relationship blossomed. Charles invited Diana for a weekend sailing on the royal yacht, followed by a visit to Balmoral, the Royal Scottish Retreat, where Diana was warmly welcomed by the Queen and other senior royals. Her photographs at Balmoral sparked media frenzy and public curiosity about the woman who could potentially become the future queen. By January 1981, their relationship had deepened, prompting Prince Philip to urge Charles to either propose to Diana or end the relationship to protect the monarchy's image. Charles proposed at Windsor Castle, and Diana accepted immediately, surprising Charles, who had expected her to take more time to decide. Their engagement was announced 18 days later. In an interview following their engagement announcement, when asked if they were in love, Diana responded with an emphatic, "Of course," while Charles's response, "whatever in love means," hinted at reservations. As preparations for their wedding began, Diana moved into Buckingham Palace, a period described by her biographer as profoundly lonely despite the public interest and media attention. On July 29, 1981, Diana became the first English woman in over 300 years to marry an heir to the throne when she wed Prince Charles. Her upbringing and prior employment made her a relatable figure to the British public, transforming her into a modern symbol within the traditionally reserved royal family. Their wedding day was a global spectacle, watched by millions worldwide. However, the fairy tale soon encountered challenges that foreshadowed the tumultuous path ahead for Princess Diana, ultimately shaping her legacy as one of the most beloved and tragic figures in modern royal history. The People's Princess. At the age of 20, Diana Spencer's life was forever changed when she married Prince Charles and became the Princess of Wales. Their wedding in St. Paul's Cathedral was nothing short of a spectacle. An estimated 800 million people watched it on television, with over 600,000 gathered in London to witness the event. But, despite the fairy tale-like atmosphere, things were far from perfect. Diana's wedding day wasn't without its hiccups. When saying her vows, she accidentally swapped the sequence of Charles's names, and she also dropped the traditional word obey from her vows. While some criticized her for this modern twist, others admired her authenticity. From the beginning, it was clear Diana wasn't your average royal. She brought a new, relatable energy to the monarchy that resonated with the public, a refreshing contrast to the often distant and formal image of the royal family. However, beneath the joy of the wedding there was a growing tension. Just the night before her wedding, Diana discovered a bracelet Charles had bought for his former lover, Camilla. It had the initials G and F engraved on it, Camilla's nickname. This painful reminder of Charles's ongoing feelings for Camilla only added to Diana's sense of isolation. To make matters worse, Charles was still deeply emotionally connected to Camilla, and it was reported that he had even shed tears over her. It was clear that Diana's new life as the Princess of Wales wasn't as idyllic as it seemed. Amidst these struggles, Diana faced severe emotional distress, leading to an ongoing battle with bulimia. The pressures of her royal role, compounded by her husband's infidelity, took a toll on her mental health. Yet, despite her personal battles, she continued to captivate the hearts of the public. During a visit to Wales, the crowd's chant of "We want Diana" demonstrated just how adored she had become. Diana's kindness and willingness to connect with people from all walks of life made her stand out, especially during the era of Diana mania, where the public's fascination with her overshadowed even that of Prince Charles. In the 1980s, Diana became a groundbreaking advocate for AIDS awareness, a topic that was highly taboo at the time. She shook hands with AIDS patients, breaking societal taboos and challenging public perceptions about the disease. Diana's ability to connect with the public on such a personal level made her a champion for many causes. But her modern views often clashed with the royal family's more traditional values. Reports suggest that the Queen once advised Diana to avoid discussing AIDS, but Diana refused to back down, insisting that the issue was too important to ignore. This led to growing tension between her and the royal family, highlighting her resolve to use her position to make a real difference. After her divorce from Charles in 1996, Diana's humanitarian work continued with even greater focus. She traveled to South Africa to meet Nelson Mandela and worked to raise awareness for AIDS, further cementing her reputation as a compassionate advocate for change. Her legacy as the People's Princess was born not just from her popularity, but from her genuine desire to make the world a better place. Diana's pregnancy was revealed to the world in November of 1981, and the announcement briefly eclipsed the difficulties of her marriage to Charles. However, she had a harrowing encounter barely 12 weeks into the pregnancy when she tumbled down a flight of stairs. Fortunately, she emerged with minor bruises, later claiming that the fall was not an accident but rather a purposeful action motivated by sentiments of self-loathing and despair, emphasizing the extreme stress she was under as a result of her difficult marriage to Charles and his continued romance with Camilla. Diana gave birth to Prince William in 1982, but the arrival of the child did not alleviate her emotional distress. She suffered from severe postpartum depression, which was not well understood or widely spoken about at the time. Despite the public's admiration and the joy of motherhood, her emotional troubles continued. 2 years later, she gave birth to Prince Harry, and it was reported to be the happiest period of Diana and Charles's marriage. However, it was also brief. Diana kept the gender of the second child a secret, knowing that Charles had been wishing for a daughter, which heightened the tension when Harry was born. The troubled phase of Charles and Diana's marriage. By the mid-1980s, Charles and Diana's marriage was unraveling. The tension between them grew, and both sought comfort outside their relationship. Diana was romantically involved with her former riding instructor, sparking media frenzy. Rumors even swirled that he might be Harry's biological father, though he denied it, stating their relationship began after Harry's birth. Meanwhile, Charles deepened his affair with Camilla, further widening the divide. Diana confronts Camilla at a birthday party, openly acknowledging the affair and expressing how she felt like an outsider. Despite this confrontation, the affair continued, leaving Diana heartbroken and isolated. By 1992, it was clear their marriage was beyond repair. Leaked private conversations between Charles and Diana revealed the breakdown of their relationship. Diana's personal struggles, including her husband's infidelity, were detailed in Andrew Morton's book, Diana, Her True Story. This fueled media outrage and raised doubts about Charles's suitability as a future king, given the church's strict views on divorce. Later that year, Prime Minister John Major confirmed their separation. The scandal deepened in 1993 with the release of the Camilla-gate tapes, private phone conversations between Charles and Camilla, which further damaged Charles's public image. Charles then allowed a documentary crew to follow him, but his admission of marital troubles only added to the scandal. He claimed he was faithful until things got irretrievably broken down, confirming the affair and angering the public. The final blow came in 1995, when Diana's famous interview with Martin Bashir aired. Her comment, "Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," about Camilla's involvement, shocked the world and severely tarnished Charles's reputation. Their divorce was finalized in 1996, ending a tumultuous chapter in both their lives. The aftermath of Diana's death. On August 31, 1997, the world was rocked by the tragic death of Princess Diana in a car crash in Paris. Her untimely passing didn't just break the hearts of millions, it sparked a whirlwind of questions and conspiracy theories that still linger today. Diana had a unique way of connecting with people, a bond unlike any royal before her, and her sudden death left a huge hole in the hearts of those who admired her. For Prince Charles, Diana's death presented a whole new set of challenges. One of the biggest? How to make his relationship with Camilla public, especially after all the backlash and the Queen's initial disapproval. It wasn't easy. In fact, when Camilla attended Charles's birthday party, the Queen chose to stay away, sending a clear message of disapproval. But by the year 2000, things started to shift. The Queen's presence at an event where Camilla was also present suggested a change of heart, and gradually, people started to see Camilla in a different light. However, being dubbed the most hated woman in Britain was no small hurdle, and the road to acceptance wasn't easy. After Diana's death, Charles and Camilla kept a low profile for a while, but eventually they began stepping back into the spotlight. Their love story took years to unfold, and by 2005 they finally tied the knot, with Camilla becoming the Duchess of Cornwall. The Queen didn't attend the civil ceremony, but later she hosted a banquet to honor the couple. When Charles became king, Camilla was officially titled Queen Consort, as Queen Elizabeth II had hoped for. This moment marked the end of a long journey for Camilla, from public scorn to finally finding acceptance both within the royal family and among the public. And now, the plot thickens. Prince William has just revealed a shocking truth about his secret sister, a revelation that the palace tried desperately to keep hidden. What's the story behind this family secret, and how will it change everything we thought we knew about the royal family? The untold story of the hidden sister. The hidden sister, Laura Parker Bowles, also known as Laura Lopes, has a story that is often overshadowed by the spotlight on her half-brothers, Prince William and Prince Harry. Growing up in the midst of her parents' tumultuous relationships, Laura's childhood was far from ordinary. The love triangle involving her father, Prince Charles, her mother, Camilla, and the late Princess Diana cast a long shadow over her formative years. The impact of this acrimonious dynamic was deeply felt in the relationships between Laura and her half-brothers. The complexities of their parents' relationships created rifts and barriers that hindered the potential closeness between them. According to a book by a royal reporter, tensions often ran high between Laura and both William and Harry. William's resentment towards Camilla for his mother's suffering clashed with Laura's belief that Charles had caused her own pain, highlighting the deep-seated bitterness and hurt experienced by all parties involved. Laura's upbringing was further complicated by the public scrutiny of her mother's relationship with Prince Charles, especially in the aftermath of Princess Diana's tragic death. She faced harsh criticisms from a young age, which led her to make a conscious decision to maintain a low profile in order to protect her self-esteem and preserve a sense of normalcy. Unlike her brother Tom, who found success as a prominent British food writer, Laura shied away from the public eye, seeking refuge from the relentless attention and criticism that plagued her family. In 2006, Laura made a significant move towards a more private life when she married Harry Lopes, a former model and current accountant. This transition provided her with the anonymity she had long sought. Her life took a different trajectory compared to other members of the royal family, largely influenced by her early experiences of witnessing her mother, Camilla, being constantly vilified by the public. Despite her desire for privacy, Laura's mother, Camilla, has recently begun to acknowledge her more publicly, perhaps signaling a shift towards a more open recognition of Laura within the royal circle. What are your thoughts about these? Share with us in the comments below. Thanks for watching, fam. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. While you're still here, check out the next video that pops up on your screen. You'll be shocked.